they like to lend out higher limits on the business side. So what I did was I deposited some money before I applied, right? And then once I had like 5 to 10,000 in that bank account, I was able to get a high limit. But you want to make sure when you invest into something that whatever you invest in can pay back that debt or can manage that monthly payment. Now, the benefit of Chase, which I really love, is they offer 0% interest business credit cards. So you want to leverage the credit to make more money, right? You want to leverage the credit to generate cash flow or to generate income.
Wow. Man, that's amazing. Hey, what's going on, guys? Calvin Russell here. Super excited today about today's interview, as we're going to interview Toby Rosario, as he's going to tell us not only how he was able to get $20,000 in a credit card from Chase Bank, but how he was also able to take money from that credit card and do other things for his business. But of course, I'm going to let him tell the entire story as we jump right into it. So, Toby, are you with us today?
Yes, I'm super excited to be here.
All right, awesome. So now let's jump into the Chase credit card. Now, a lot of people love Chase Bank, and they're trying to figure out, essentially accomplishing what you were able to do, and that's getting, a high limit credit card specifically for their business. Can you tell us about how you were able to get that?
Yes. So banks have an internal rating, right? They have an internal rating where if you make deposits, certain ranges, they like to lend out higher limits on the business side. So what I did was I deposited some money before I applied, right? And then once I had like 5 to 10,000 in that bank account, I was able to get a high limit. Now, the benefit of Chase, which I really love, is they offer 0% interest business credit cards, 0 to 12 months, right? So what I was able to do was I applied, I got 0% interest. Then I said, well, how can I use this money to make more money? So I decided to invest that into a multifamily property. I was able to liquidate off that 20,000. I was able to liquidate around 12,000. I used that as a down payment to fund that multifamily property. And then what I did was, because it's still debt, right? I borrowed money, but what I did was I used one of the tenants to pay down that debt. And once that debt was paid off, I was cash flowing ever since then.
Wait, hold up, man. Hold up. We got to take a step back. So now, first off, you said that you were able to not only get the credit card, but then you were able to take the funds from the credit card. Now, is this like a cash advance, or you said it's liquidating? So how does that work?
Yeah. So the first thing you want to do, you never want to do a cash advance because it literally doesn't make sense because you're paying interest as soon as you borrow the money. You'll be in a worse spot than when you started. So you don't want to do a cash advance. So there's different ways to do it, right? So one way you can do it is essentially, let's say someone has a business, right? They can send you an invoice for a certain amount. Then you pay that with that credit card. And then what they can do is they get the money in their merchant account, and then you can send that money back to you if you like. And that's how you essentially you can liquidate that credit card.
Right. So it's like so it's like you purchasing something and getting a refund, essentially, almost.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're paying for a service, right? And then they refund you, or you can just, it gets into the merchant account and they can refund you or send you the money back.
Wow, man, that's never thought about that, because when you think about it, almost like a refund in a sense, you would essentially, the money will go back to the card, but the person's giving you the cash. Got you. And of course, there's obviously sound like some tax implications or whatever. So we're not accountants. We won't give you guys advice on that. So
I'm not a CPA or anything like that,
Got you. Man, that's a very smart way to do that. Okay. And then obviously the balance that you essentially have now created, that still is attached to the credit card itself. Correct?
Correct. Right. And the benefit, again, you want to strategically get 0% interest. Why? Because $20,000 at 0% interest, you're only paying 1% of that line limit. So if it's $20,000, you're only paying $200 a month, and that's all principal. None of it is interest. But you want to make sure when you invest into something that whatever you invest in can pay back that debt or can manage that monthly payment, because you don't want to invest into something and then lose money because you still have to pay that money back.
Wow. Man, that's amazing. Okay. Now, all right, let's take another step back. So now, could you tell us, like, what was your business framework? Essentially, or do you remember, like, how your business credit was at the time that you got approved for Chase? Do you feel like, obviously, were you a personal guarantee? Did they look more so into the business? How were you able to get that set up?
Yeah. So just fun fact, right? 99.9% of business credit cards, you have to PG, right? What does that mean? Personally guarantee. I'm going to give you a baseline framework, right? As far as data points, what we call data points in the business credit world. You need a minimum of 680. preferably a 720, right? You don't, no collections, no derogatories, no bankruptcies, no charge-offs. You want utilization to be below 10%, right? Most
Mhm.
people say under 30%, but it's really below 10%.
Yeah.
And you want what they called in the credit world comparable credit. So you want a
Mhm.
credit card on the personal side to show at least minimum of 5,000, preferably 10,000. Why? Because if you have a $2,000 personal credit card, why, as the bank, why would I give you a $25,000 business credit card when you haven't been able to show me that you can manage a $10 or $20,000 business credit card in general?
Right.
So
Right.
you want to make sure you have comparable credit. You want to make sure you have primary accounts, not authorized users.
Yeah.
Preferably, ideally, 10 primary accounts, but minimum of 5 accounts, right? Because you
Mhm.
want a mix of accounts. You want personal credit, you want installment loans, mortgages,
Yeah.
car loans, things like that.
Wow. Okay. Man, listen, you just gave the entire play on how to get these things in order because I think a lot of people they want these things, they want to accomplish these things, especially for their business, but they don't have these things in place. So that most definitely helps out for sure. Now, of course, what I love about you, Toby, is that you're speaking from a level of experience. You're not just getting business credit established just to get business credit established. You actually own, multiple businesses. You have obviously the property that you own. Let's touch base on that. You talked about a few moments ago that you had a tenant that is actually paying you essentially rent, but instead of you keeping it and just pocketing it, you said that you were able to pay off something. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so you want to invest. So what I did was you want to invest into multifamily, right? Two or quad or triplex, right? Because you want one tenant to pay the mortgage. You still have a mortgage, right? When you buy a
Right.
property, and you want to have another tenant pay down the debt, right? So
Right.
I borrowed. Basically, I got the Chase Business Credit Card. I borrowed 12,000. I
Right.
used that as a down payment. Then the tenant was paying down that 12,000 that I borrowed at 0% interest.
Mm.
Then once that debt service is paid off, then you can use all the cash flow that you generate from that tenant because you no longer have that debt. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, it
Right.
does.
So you want to
Okay.
leverage the credit to make
Mhm.
more money, right? You want to leverage the credit to generate cash flow or to
Yeah.
generate income, right? You don't want to borrow money to buy Louis Vuitton, Gucci. You want to use the credit cards to make you money. That's at least that's how I
Okay.
think of it, you know?
Yeah. No, man, it's very smart that you mentioned that as well, because I think a lot of people end up doing that. They get that extra money. They're not used to having it or used to having any type of investor advice or knowledge, and they do what you said. They go and buy the Gucci. They go and buy, the name brand stuff, whatever. And guys, not saying you guys can't do that, but at the same time, if you really want to maximize the money that's out here in this world, you most definitely want to do similar strategies like Toby just mentioned as well. Well, listen, man, I think that was great information for sure. On your YouTube channel, you talk more about these types of things, correct?
Correct. Yeah. My YouTube channel talks a lot about business credit, but primarily leveraging that credit to create cash flow or buy income. Let me say that again. You want to leverage credit to buy income, meaning if you have a credit card, you want to use that credit card because credit card is still debt, right? You want to use
Right.
good debt to buy income so it generates you money.
Wow. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I like how you touched on that because a lot of people don't focus on that for sure. So thanks again, Toby, for dropping these gems, man. Making sure we bring people the information that they need to know. And again, we thank you again for being on the channel today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.